Hello there, everybody. I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel. This is the weekly angel card reading, just 1 week this time, beginning on Monday, February the 25th through to the 3rd of March, because February is a shortened month. Isn't it crazy how fast this year is going already? 2019. Wow, let's get started. For Monday the 25th, shuffling the cards. Prioritize. I love it when the angels give us such wonderful practical messages like this. When you are feeling overwhelmed, you need to look at what is the most important thing right now. Maybe having the super clean house is not the biggest priority at this point, or maybe it is. I don't know, everybody's different. But when you're trying to do everything at once and you're fooling yourself into thinking that once you do get everything done, you'll feel happy and then you can relax. That's a trap, because once you get to that point, you'll probably just find more things to do if you are struggling to sit still, and if you are someone who is tying their value to their productivity. So when it comes to priorities, really think about what is on your list, why, and what you think achieving those things is going to give you, because as I say, it can be a bit of a delusion that if I get everything done, then I'm a good person, then I love myself and I'll feel like I can do anything, or even to I'm exaggerating, but even sometimes you can go to bed feeling like a failure because you didn't tick off every single item on your list, and that's just not helpful, because potentially your list wasn't that realistic, and even if you had done all those things, you might not be feeling a satisfaction that you imagine you would. So when it comes to your priorities, let's look at what is most important for you right now. I'm just going to plug in the earphones. I don't think they're plugged in properly. Sorry about that. And just come back to what your values are. I think sometimes it's a really good way to isolate your priorities. For example, spending time with your family would be on that list. Running around making everybody else happy is hopefully not one of your values, because if it is, you're setting yourself up for failure, because you are tying your value to whether other people approve of you and whether you're seen by other people. So anyway, hopefully that one's pretty straightforward. Instead of looking at all the things you've got to do, look at what's most important and put your energy there. You are lovable. It's interesting, I was just talking about value, or not in terms of our values, but the value that we have, or that we perceive that we have, because this card is about value, our value. The message on the card is, love who you are as you're created perfectly. It's a difficult one, because sometimes the word perfect throws people, because obviously nobody's perfect. And so the challenge is to think of yourself as being perfectly imperfect. So we often think that it's only when everything is done or complete, then everything is good. Or if I look fabulous and I lose all this weight and I get my hair done looking fantastic, then I will earn everybody's love, or then I will approve of myself. So, and these are just examples, but what I'm trying to say is, the pursuit of perfection you're going to come undone if that's your goal. So instead, the angels are asking you to accept yourself as you are. They're not saying don't strive for improvement. If you feel like your confidence levels could do with a boost, then absolutely go for that. We're all here to grow and to develop. What they're saying is, you've got to start from a place of accepting where you are. I've often used the example of weight loss in terms of, because I am a health writer, and I come across studies all the time that show so many people struggle to maintain weight loss, which therefore makes it deemed not too successful, because they are expecting it to give them a level of satisfaction. And of course, we know that satisfaction doesn't come from the way you look, it comes from the way you feel. But we pin so much on size and outward appearance that we think that once we have that, we'll be complete. And equally, you can see that with plastic surgery. And I have no judgment towards anybody for any procedures that you do, but when people get into the cycle of keep doing more and more and more, it's because they're looking for something that they're just not getting with each procedure. So they think there must be something else I need to do. They're looking for perfection, and they think once they get it, they'll stop. But it needs to be the other way around. If you accept yourself for who you are, so exercising, for example, you're not doing it to look a certain way. You're looking at because you love yourself the way you are, and you know that if you look after yourself, things can get even better. it's a slight paradigm shift, I guess. Maybe paradigm shift is not the right word, but it's about your perspective. You're not trying to fix yourself, you're trying to make yourself better. But if nothing changes, you'll still be perfectly happy as you are. Hopefully that makes sense. I think I might have clouded that one a little bit by going off and talking about various, putting it into the perspective of weight loss or plastic surgery. But I feel like sometimes, because those aren't areas that people come to me looking for help with, because I tend to focus on relationships, and those are the sort of questions I typically get from clients around those areas. But I've used those examples because I do feel like when it comes to this idea of valuing yourself, the ways that you can come undone are, or the ways that you can struggle to value yourself, are because you don't like the way you look. And the angels will never give you messages that you need to change the way you look, but they'll always sort of reinforce this idea of loving yourself as you are, and then whatever you do from that is going to be a bonus. So, and it probably won't change the extent that you love yourself anyway, but it will maybe improve your life in some way. For example, exercising might give you more energy. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's all weird shuffle, but never mind. We got the card we wanted. So, message in a bottle. This is a beautiful message. Just look at it. It's about communication. FYI, Mercury, the planet of communication, is about to go retrograde on March the 5th. So communication is about to get a whole lot more hectic. But anyway, that's not happening yet. Although I should point out we are in the pre-shadow season, so perhaps some communication areas are starting to go a bit haywire for you. It's a little bit hard. Clarity is what comes undone with Mercury. It's a little bit harder to understand people's meaning, and it's a lot easier to misconstrue what they're saying, and for you, for them to misconstrue what you're saying, etc. So when I look at this card, I'm getting the word hope. And if you look at the way this message is being carried across, that whole story about the message in the bottle. When I was a kid, I used to always hope that I'd find a message in a bottle on the beach. I never did. It's something that is a miracle. A message that was not meant to be found has been found. And so I think with this, if you are struggling to say something that's really important, the angels are really encouraging you to do that. And if we just look at communication more generally, please don't bottle things up. I know I'm using the metaphor of the bottle there, but I'm doing that deliberately. It's very important to speak up and say what you need to say, and the angels are telling you they will help you deliver that message. Archangel Gabriel's a good person to call on if you need help with framing a message. I talk to Gabriel, he or she, whatever you want to, angels don't have a gender, is associated with communication, delivering messages, delivering babies, obviously. Well, not delivering babies specifically, but around that idea of conception and pregnancy. I talk to Gabriel every time I do one of these videos to ask for help in me getting the right words. I said this before, I'm not particularly comfortable in speaking. I'm a writer, and I do get that help, but obviously you guys can hear I'm sometimes second guessing myself. Did I say that right? Or maybe that wasn't the right analogy. Oh, I've gone off on this tangent. So my human side, my ego, is still questioning that, but I know that you guys, in my heart of hearts and in my intuition, I know you guys are getting what you need from this. And that's what matters, and that's where Gabriel is assisting. So you could always ask for Gabriel's help if you need to write something particularly important, or even just everyday stuff in your communications, particularly if you're fighting a lot with your partner and you're struggling to express what's really going on for you. It's just really speak out, really important to speak out. I should point out with the water is associated with emotions, so there's some symbolism there. I'm guessing for some of you it's a deep message, there are emotions attached, but yeah, just try and focus on what you really want to say, because we know, I've said this a lot, bottling things up doesn't work, it makes them worse. So we're looking at Thursday now. This is really random. I've got two cards, and to be honest, they don't go together at all. So maybe it depends on, maybe you guys are going to pick and choose whichever speaks to you, I guess. So animals, the card is about having a bond with the animal world. For some of you, that is affirming your decision to spend more time with animals or adopt an animal or something like that. Or even, work with animals for some of you maybe. If you are really stressed out at the moment, this card could simply be telling you spending time with animals is going to help you. Safe travel. So a couple of things with this card. Literally, if you are traveling in transit in any way, you are safe, you are being protected. You can call on St. Christopher for help with that. I know lots of people have St. Christopher medals in their suitcases and even in their vehicles. And it's also about safety more generally. So if you think of it like we're all on a journey through life, I know that sounds naff, but it is true. We're all here to learn and grow, and if you're watching this, you're certainly very engaged in that journey, and letting you know that you are safe as you go ahead. It's scary when we're on a spiritual path and we're developing, because it's the unknown. We've grown up in a world where we're taught that logic is king and that's what matters. And the further you go down this spiritual path or this personal growth, the more you realise that things are a little bit more murky than that. There aren't rules, there aren't guarantees, and that can be really triggering. But the good thing to know is that we always have our intuition to guide us, and we always end up where we're meant to go, and we're safe. We're always safe and being guided. So if you're feeling triggered by what's going on around you, please know that, or where you're at right now, what the changes you're trying to make, please know that you're safe and you are being looked after. And don't forget, you can ask your angels for help at any time. They're really emphasizing that right now. And so I would remind you that your angels can't help you unless you ask them to, because you've got free will and you're in charge of your life. If you've grown up in an institutional religious kind of background, that was your childhood upbringing, you probably were taught that that God is in charge of your life. And in this sort of spirituality, New Age kind of belief system, it comes back to you are in charge of your life, but the universe is guiding you and protecting you along the way. So in some ways that's a bit triggering for people, because it means that they need to take ownership for their choices. In other ways it's empowering, because it means that you don't have to follow any particular script. You don't have to live this family life if you want to be a nomad or whatever it is. So please remember that you have this, what I like to call the internal Google Maps, your intuition helping you. But ultimately the choices are all yours. So tangent. Friday harmony, beautiful, very Libra-esque energy coming through here. So where are you out of, I was going to say out of balance, but I know it's a bit hard, because then people think, oh, work-life balance, that's just totally impossible, stress. So instead I would say, look at where you can bring in more harmony in terms of more peace. So for example, if work is really out of control for you right now, what small things can you do to help yourself get a little bit of time out? Maybe it's a 10-minute walk in the garden. Maybe it's like there's some music on here. Maybe it's listening to some calming music. It's not going to fix the problem. It's going to help restore your energy so you feel like you can cope and you don't feel quite so overwhelmed and at the mercy of outside forces. It's also outside on this card. So being outside in nature, I know I talk about it all the time, but honestly, science is only just starting to realize how powerful nature is in terms of our healing and our stress levels, our ability to relax, really. So it's huge. What else do I need to tell you about this card? It's just a very gentle, very calming kind of energy coming through. But we need to do what we can to work that energy. What should I don't feel like I want to use that card. I'm going to go with this one. Saturday's cards here. Decide to be happy now. We had this 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, I think. I lose track. And the onus here is on the decisions you make around your own emotions. I've said this before, that often it feels like we're at the mercy of our emotions, and a lot of the time we are. If you're grieving, for example, to use a very extreme example, you just feel like you're being hit by this onslaught of emotions. You can't control when it's going to hit you, when it's going to subside. It keeps going. You feel like you're through. It keeps coming back. So there are certainly times in our lives when we don't have a lot of choice in our emotions, but we can decide what to do with those. And I don't want to use the grief example here because that's a really difficult situation. So I'm talking about more everyday stuff now. If you go to work and everybody's in a bad mood, you can choose whether or not to buy into that. And so it's very easy to feel like that's now my mood too. Oh, great, it's a bad day. And choosing to be happy sounds a little bit idealistic, but you can certainly choose, if not to be happy, then just take ownership of, that's their stuff, it's not mine. I'm just going to plow on and keep doing what I'm doing. So the card also talks about how there are a lot more things right in your life than there are wrong, and we do have a tendency to look at the whole, not the donut. So a quick gratitude practice can really help you today, just looking at what's right in your life. One of the things I love about Marie Kondo is she is teaching people to appreciate what they have, instead of often the reason people have too much stuff is because they keep looking for other stuff to make them feel better or to make them feel good, and you don't really need to. You've already got everything you need, and if you appreciate it more, because it sparks joy, that can really help you. We just don't make the most of what we have, and the pursuit of happiness from consumerism is a dead-end street. So, yeah, hopefully that makes sense about deciding to be happy with where you're at. The angel looks particularly sour on this card, so maybe don't follow that particular example. I don't know why that illustration was chosen for that card at all. But anyway, some of these cards, the illustrations, while I'm sure the artists are incredibly talented, they don't resonate for me personally. But that's okay, because I'm not a visual person. I respond to the energy, to the messages, to the words. I'm a word nerd, so that's where I'm at. Sunday, how apt that I was just talking about nature. It's like I knew. I didn't know. But I go with where I'm guided, and obviously the angels knew this was going to be a big theme. So fresh air on a very practical level, getting outdoors. Now, if you're in North America, I've seen the news. It's pretty freaking cold up there. I don't know how you're coping at all. I don't deal with the cold. I'm very temperature sensitive. But hopefully there are ways you can get some fresh air in some way without freezing to death. I don't know what to suggest here. If it's not practical, don't do it, okay? So, but for everybody else, certainly a change of scene, if we look at it that way, rather than it doesn't necessarily need to be outdoors. Maybe that will help. But certainly vitamin D safely. There are safe ways to get vitamin D, and fresh oxygen will help you. The other thing is, there is another level here about a fresh perspective, and maybe that's going to be more appropriate for those of you who don't have the practical, it's not practical to go outside. Don't get too stuck in your ideas. Welcoming new ideas, new perspectives. Read blogs you wouldn't normally read, that give you a different way of looking at things. You might not agree with them, but understanding, or even just knowing there are different perspectives out there is really, really healthy and helpful. Talking to different people. Don't dismiss any ideas out of hand. That's the really big message here. Be open. You don't have to agree, but just listen, and that will start a process within you that could trigger some big, some changes. Maybe not necessarily in the direction of what the person's saying, but it can open you up into other ideas. Or anyway, you guys get the message. So being outdoors is a big theme. Managing our stress is massive. We've got some ideas about prioritizing and trying to find some harmony within the madness. And I think just some gratitude in terms of accepting where we're at and being grateful for what our bodies can do and what we can do and how far we've come. It's a big thing. And being grateful for what is going right in our lives. Thank you very much for watching. I will put these on social media. I'm back to just the 1 week readings now, thank goodness, because those other readings were really long, that fortnightly one. And my Instagram, if you're not already following me, is @OneGroundedAngel. If you are already following me, thank you very much. I really appreciate all the support you guys give me. You're wonderful. My Facebook page as well is called One Grounded Angel, and I just went over 1,000 followers on Facebook, so I'm very happy about that, because it is something I spend a bit less time on than the Instagram, but certainly I know a lot of you really love Facebook because it gives me, and I like it too because it gives me more scope to share articles and to expand on ideas more. Thank you very much for all your support. I am very grateful for all of you, so thank you. You spark joy for me. Take care and have an amazing week.